Hello, one and all. There's not going to be a whole lot to this video. I just wanted to give a quick wrestling-related update video out there before my next big one. I hope you all enjoyed that top 10 wrestling match trilogies video I did last week, because my next top 10 is going to be coming up within the next few days or so. So be on the lookout for that. I'm currently in the process of... I've got my list down for what I want to do. It's just a matter of filming and editing, which shouldn't take too long. But I don't think this video is going to turn out quite as classy, shall we say, as the top 10 wrestling match trilogy, mainly because match quality is not going to be as important to this list, but it's going to be fun to do anyway, so I don't care. A couple of other things going on. My next Star Wars review is going to be posted... right after I'm done posting this video, so pretty much. So you're gonna get 2 videos from me today, which awesome. Yeah, so that's next. Also, I wanted to do kind of a mini review of TLC. I didn't get a chance to really do a full-fledged review of it. I was a day late watching the pay-per-view, and then after that, you know, it'd pretty much come and gone, and a review for me just wouldn't make much sense, at least a match-by-match breakdown, but I will give my overall impressions of the show. Again, it was another one of those WWE shows. It wasn't terrible, it was just blah. It was just there, and not a whole lot of intrigue. Not a lot of intriguing things happened. The most interesting thing that happened was the AJ Styles-Finn Balor match, which had no build-up, no story, and ended up being the match of the night, as you would expect out of Finn Balor and AJ Styles. So, good on them. I think it was a match that both of them sorely needed, because Balor was just stuck in that rut with Bray Wyatt. And I'm not glad that Bray Wyatt got the mumps or anything, but it is like, God, they had to break up the monotony there. Like, I cannot believe they were having yet another pay-per-view match. And it probably would have continued, because I think that... I'm just making a guess. Okay, they were debuting the Sister Abigail version of Bray Wyatt. They probably would have had him go over, which would have necessitated having another match later on. So it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, they would have kept that thing going forever. But, and then poor AJ is coming off of that lackluster series with Kevin Owens and kind of a uneventful run as U.S. champion, so they both really needed something to kind of generate some kind of a spark. So I thought that match turned out very well. Rest of the show, just kind of by the books, really. Just not a, like I said, not a terrible show, just not an overly interesting one either. The main event was overly long. It had its fun parts, but it was a 20-minute match stretched out for almost 40, and it just didn't need to be as long as it was. But and again, they, you know, working Kurt Angle into the match, it was losing Roman Reigns to the mumps was unfortunate, and it kind of took the Shield reunion away that people were presumably tuning in to see, but just one of those unfortunate things. But like I said, the match did have its fun moments. I didn't completely hate it. But yeah, TLC overall is just a show that didn't leave much of an impression on me. One show that has left an impression on me, and I haven't even seen it, it hasn't even happened yet, is Survivor Series. They announced several matches for Survivor Series on Raw this week, and the theme of the show is going to be Raw versus SmackDown. And these matches are absolutely terrible. Like, I straight up do not care. There's nothing at stake. The Jinder Mahal Brock Lesnar match, I couldn't possibly care any less about. You know, and even matches like, I think they're doing Usos versus Shield or whatever, for the, you know, the battle of the 2 tag champions. Like, well, none of the titles are on the line, so who cares? Like, there's nothing at stake. It's just another, like, soulless Raw versus SmackDown thing that doesn't really matter in the long run. And I've said before, if you want to do the Raw versus SmackDown thing, do something where the winning brand gets a legitimate prize. For example, let's say Raw and SmackDown go into the show, and whoever wins the most matches, the winning brand gets the final 10 spots in the Royal Rumble. Or the winning brand gets the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Or the winning brand gets the WrestleMania main event. Just something that gives the wrestlers a motivation to partake in this, because otherwise it's just, I mean, motherfucker, it's just the All-Star game. It's, you know, or the yeah, it's something like that, like the NFL Pro Bowl or something like that, where it's just, you know, a bunch of players competing in a game that doesn't matter, so what reason do they have to care? And that's kind of what goes on whenever they try to do these Raw versus SmackDown things. At least that's how it was in the first brand split. And I'm saying, again, it's like, look, just, if you want people to actually care about this, those are some good ways to do it. Make the title. It's like, all right, you can't have the title switch brands, so these champion versus champion matches, you can't put the titles on the line. Why? Why can't you put the titles on the line? Put something instead. I've been saying forever, it's like, look, they should really have the tag division on one show and the women's division on another show, because by splitting them into two, they've spread them too thin. But, you know, just make this the genesis of that. Make this the the start of getting to that point where you have all the tag teams on one show and all the women on one show, and you know, just start making that happen. Because right now, Raw and SmackDown are so similar to each other in terms of style and content that I almost really don't care, like, about picking one brand over the other. Like, what brand am I going to be loyal to on that? It's like, who fucking cares? They're both virtually the same anyway. Just doesn't really matter. And yeah, you've got the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, which doesn't mean anything. There's a 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series match, doesn't mean anything. Just none of these matches mean anything, and there's no, like, major storyline. If anything, it feels like the storylines are being put on hold to do the Raw vs. SmackDown thing that I couldn't possibly care any less about. So, yeah, Survivor Series, Raw vs. SmackDown, don't really care. But, yeah, they announced the card this week, and I was thoroughly unimpressed. It's like, God, do I really want to watch this? No, I don't think I do, but in any case, what I really wanted to talk about in this video, I did something last night that I have not done in years, like over a decade. I bought my first wrestling magazine in forever, and the reason why is on the cover. I got the Pro Wrestling Illustrated special PWI 500 edition, and who is that on the cover? That would be the winner of the PWI 500, ranked number 1, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, New Japan's greatest star right now. And I know the PWI 500 had been released a while ago, but just to see it there in print, I'm like, there's my boy, Okada! Alright, right there on the cover of a magazine in America. And they have it on the cover. He is the first Japanese wrestler to rank number 1 in the PWI 500. Which is awesome. Now, I haven't always agreed with the PWI 500 and how they're ranked and what they take into consideration. They take win-loss records into consideration when ranking this. I'm like, but guys, that's the part that's not real. That's the, like, championships and all that other stuff. That's the part that's not real. To me, the stuff that should matter should be the quality of your work. Are your feuds interesting? Are your matches good? Are your promos good? Are you contributing to the show's quality in a positive way? Roman Reigns is number 4 in that list. I'm like, like, who the fuck? Who gives a shit about Roman Reigns? I'm sorry. Like, and there's also, like, a WWE consideration on there. Like, Jinder Mahal is 30 on that list, and that it's solely because he's the WWE champion. There's no other reason, because his matches aren't good. He got rushed to that spot, but he's been the champion for most of the year, so he gets a fairly high ranking. Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes, who is like the man right now, outside of WWE, and he's like 34, and I'm just like, what? Based on what? So, like, how and why? But again, they take things into consideration that I personally wouldn't take into consideration. So, again, like win-loss records. To me, that's like, again, that's the part that's not real. I would put the quality of your storylines, the quality of your promos, your matches, and all the other things. How are you contributing to the business? I think the Young Bucks are amazing right now, just for the sheer entrepreneurial nature of how they conduct themselves. Like, they are awesome at merchandising and marketing themselves. They are unbelievable. I think they deserve a ton of credit for that. And that's something that, like, I mean, there's a real, like, get up and go get 'em attitude there from the Young Bucks that I really like. Very motivated and very appealing. It's easy to see why they're as popular as they are among indie fans. And I've been critical of their matches in the past because I think a lot of their matches have been senseless spot fest, but there's no denying how well they brand and market themselves. I mean, they really are geniuses when it comes to that. And that's something that I would take into consideration when ranking people in the PWI 500. It's why I would say, like, Cody would be in my top 10 somewhere, easy. I would throw Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, Johnny Impact, whatever you want to call him. I would throw him up there as probably, if not top 10, top 15 or 20. And I think he was like 30-something on the list. And they've got AJ Styles at number 2, and I'm like, yeah, AJ's had kind of a slump year. That feud with Owens did not do him any favors at all, as I said. But, you know, AJ's actually ranked higher this year than he was last year, which is shocking to me. But in any case, they did get number 1 right. Kazuchika Okada absolutely should be the number 1 of the PWI 500. Now, at the end of the year, when I eventually do, like I always do, like a best in pro wrestling awards for 2017, Superstar of the Year, spoiler alert, I'm going to give it to Kazuchika Okada. There's no one else, nobody else. It's Okada has had that strong of a year. He is everything that a main event wrestler should be. He is charismatic. He is instantly appealing. He looks like a star. His main events are at a quality that is, at this point, like untouchable. No one is having the quality main events that Okada is having. When you look at his matches with Omega, which are the best matches of the year. The 2 matches that they've had, I know they had the 3rd match in the G1 Climax, which was also very good. But their 2 pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view, but their 2 like major event matches, the Wrestle Kingdom match and the Dominion match, I would say are the 2 best matches of the year. They are that good. The matches he's had with Suzuki, the matches he's had with Shibata and Bad Luck Fale, and even his, like I said in a recent video, his weakest one was with Evil, and that was still pretty good. It wasn't bad by any means. That was his weakest one out of all his major main events. And the reason it was weak was because, or weaker, I should say. The reason it was weaker because I knew that with the Dome, Wrestle Kingdom coming up, there's no way that Okada was dropping the belt. So no matter what they did, there was no way they could preserve that drama. But, under those restrictions, it was still a pretty damn good match. There's a reason why people are excited for Naito versus Okada heading into the January 4th Dome show. The caliber of their work has just been incredible. Both guys, but Okada especially. He has just been outstanding all year long, and it's so funny. Like when I first started watching New Japan regularly, going back to Wrestle Kingdom 9, and everybody pretty much told me it was like. And from what I was hearing from guys on the internet, that Nakamura's the best, Tanahashi's not far behind him, AJ's one of the best. Like, the top 4 were, like, Nakamura, Tanahashi, AJ, and Okada was kind of the bottom rung of those 4. And then I watched Wrestle Kingdom, and I was like, you sure about that? I think he's the fucking star, man. And his performance in that main event with Tanahashi, not only like from the wrestling technical standpoint, was excellent, and the way he presents himself and the way he carries himself. And that's the other thing. He's also fairly young, which is another part of it, where it's like, how could he be like this fresh to the business and be as good as he is? That's scary to me. Like, for him to be like this well polished of a main event worker, so early into his career. He is incredible. Like, he is a natural, like, once in a lifetime type of talent. And he's done nothing but impress me ever since. Like, everything about him. Like, I think I made the comment once, he's Randy Orton. He's all the positives of Randy Orton, but none of the negatives. And that is high level praise, because Randy Orton has a lot of those old school qualities that I really like. In the way that he works, but he's also got this kind of, I don't want to say laziness, but he's got this repetitiveness to his matches that get very old. Okada goes out there, you look at his main events, he works with Tanahashi one way, but he works a different way with Omega. He works a different way with Suzuki. He works a different way with Fale. Like, Bad Luck Fale's best matches have been with Okada by far. He works a different way with Shibata. Like, he'll go out there and have completely different matches with these people. He's not just a formula guy. He's not, you know, he's... yeah, he has his spots, sure, but... I don't feel like when I watch him, I'm just seeing the exact same match every single time. And that's very easy to do, especially in this era where, you know, you have a big main event once a month and you have to constantly be present wrestling and competing on TV or at major events or whatever. And, yeah, Okada has been outstanding and stellar. He's probably going to drop the belt at Wrestle Kingdom, if I had to guess. I think Naito's, like, the best opportunity to... since Omega at Dominion, at least, kind of the best opportunity to get the belt off of him. But what a reign. Like, I think you can make a case this is like the greatest world title reign of all time. And when I talk about how Wrestle Kingdom has kind of taken WrestleMania's place to me as like the big event that I look forward to every year, Okada's a big reason why. Because he's not just about... There's not that mindset where it's like, oh, he's a draw, so let's just put him in that spot and it'll draw or whatever. They actually work at crafting big main event build-ups and storylines to make those matches feel big. It's not just, hey, we've got Okada, so we don't need to try at all. Like WWE did with Cena a lot of the times. It's like, oh, well, Cena's a draw, so we just put him in anything. I mean, they're going to put him up against... the rumor is that they're going to put him up against Jinder Mahal at WrestleMania next year. It's like, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? But it's Cena, and he's going to win his 17th world title. I don't give a shit. You've successfully beaten any ability for me to care about John Cena matches out of me, unless you were able to come up with something like you did at Money in the Bank 2011 or SummerSlam 2013. I'm not going to give a shit. But Okada, it's a different story, and there's always something interesting going on with him, and there's always... some intrigue with his matches. Even the Evil match is like, oh, Evil's the only other guy, aside from Omega, the only other guy to beat him in the G1 Climax, so there's your setup there. And there was at least a reasoning for it and a logic. They didn't just throw Evil out there for the sake of having Okada beat somebody. They actually, to use an old, like, you know, school math term, they showed their work when setting up their matches. They, you know, you can see the thought process from A to B and then all the way to Z. So, yeah, I think Okada is absolutely deserves to be the top of the list. I think he's been stellar. This year has been amazing for him. He's been incredible. Other guys have been incredible too, from Omega to Cody to Johnny Mundo to Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., so many other guys, Kushida, Takahashi, so many of these guys, the Young Bucks, that have made names for themselves and have done an excellent job of selling themselves and marketing themselves outside of the WWE, and that is awesome to me. And I always love to see that get recognized, and so to see somebody that's not a WWE megastar get recognized as the top of the PWI 500, kind of like in 2009 when AJ won it while he was still with TNA, that's awesome to me, and I love to see that type of stuff, because it's like, you know, and I'm not like I don't fucking, like, despise the WWE or anything. I know I'm hard on them when their shows are terrible, but I don't want WWE to die. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I'm a fan of the art form first. I'm not a fan of specific brands first, if that makes any sense. If you're good, I will praise the holy hell out of you. And all those names I just listed, I think have done very well for themselves. And I'm proud of them that they've been able to establish identities and make a name for themselves outside of the WWE, and have done exceedingly well. And it makes the indie scene and, you know, the scene in Japan and the scene in various other areas in the United States, whether it be Ring of Honor or PWG or whatever, it makes it more appealing to be outside of the WWE. Or it's like, it's not the end of the world if you get let go of the WWE by the WWE, because look at what Cody was able to do. And all of that is very appealing to me. So again, basic moral of the story, in you know, while I'm on my soapbox here, because I'm so important and everything I say is just pure gold. Not really, but you know, if you're a fan of the art form, support other forms of the art form. Go out there and look for it. I'm not saying I can't guarantee that you would like Ring of Honor or New Japan or PWG or AAA or Impact Wrestling or or Lucha Underground. I can't guarantee that you'll like those things. I would encourage you to give them a chance and see if you will like them, because you've got guys like Kazuchika Okada out there who have done very well for themselves and deserve a little bit of attention and are probably worth your time to observe. So, that's it. I'm off my soapbox. That's it for this video. Like I said, I'll have a Star Wars review up for you later tonight as well. But for now, that is all I got for you guys. So enjoy your weekend and peace the fuck out.